Hello and welcome to another Nimble video tutorial. It's been a while since I've done a video, so I'm going to try to make this quick, cut to the chase, and get to the meat of what this little dialogue is all about. I've been working on Nimble Drive. It's a microservice to add full DOS support or DOS-like support for Nimble using Node.js. It will enable the platform and the IDE to run just as fast and accurate in a browser as it does within Electron, enabling me to break free from using Electron as my only platform for hosting Nimble. Before I get into my sample, I'd like to talk about the use of JavaScript in the industry. JavaScript has come a long way. I remember reading a few articles saying that Node.js was like one of the worst platforms ever created for software development. You constantly hear developers use terms, JavaScript developers who don't have a good firm understanding of C and C++. They criticize the language with like callback hell. You hear these terms that are made out of thin air because of their lack of understanding of how to use the platform. JavaScript is single-threaded. However, there are techniques that you can use to make it appear or run as if it were multi-threaded. One of those techniques is time slicing or preemptive programming and computing. It's a way of writing your code to work in a multitasking type environment by giving way when it doesn't need CPU time. An example of that would be what I've created with the SDK dictionary. Whenever you click a alphabetic character, it loads up all the dictionary definitions for Nimble in that character, and you see it animates them seamlessly and smoothly. This is done with a technique of time slicing in a single-threaded environment. It's how I'm able to do the things that I do with Nimble and make it run like an operating system. That being said, we're going to move right along to talk about my DOS support for web browsers and Nimble. I've always used FS file system, but I've made sure that I do not use it directly within my platform. I have a DOS factory that has all of the FS related commands centralized in it. This enabled me, I made this decision because at the time I first got introduced to FS, there was some talk of going full asynchronous and just totally getting rid of the synchronous calls. So I didn't know if the library was going to remain stable or how developers were going to abuse it in the years to come. So I usually don't trust other people's libraries anyway. I try to depend on my own code and do enough research to know whether I can rely on it, for the long term. I'm so glad I made that decision. Fast forward to today, and that the fact that I did not use FS directly throughout the application, but in a centralized factory, means I'm able to make a microservice to toggle between a local file system and a remote one. A global.remote variable will trigger or enable the microservice to start. Based off of your Google authentication, your session ID will sandbox an area on a remote server and initialize a setup very similar to your Windows file structure. Once that setup is complete, you're good to go. Every command is identical, so there's only minor changes to handle the asynchronous nature of the service that I would have to apply, but 80% of those changes are also handled within the factory itself. Once this service was complete, of course, I'm going to need a common dialogue controls. What are common dialogue controls? They're the load, save, and create folder structure dialogues that you see in like Windows or basically any operating system. So I'm using Nimble to create the first templates for a load dialog, the save file dialog, and of course the folder dialog, all within this state manager. I will be able to compile this project and then export just this dialog into my DOS factory. The beauty of Nimble is that you can improve it by using it. You can always add extensions, factories, and other unique things to make the platform get better and better and behave more like a true operating system. Needless to say, you can see the drag drop nature, Olay, all of the things that happened or were created in Windows, I'll be able to probably create in a browser and have a seamless environment. So let's take a look at the first prototype. I'm going to run this with the DevTools off to the right side because I'm going to demonstrate exactly how seamless it is. Let's refresh this page. Okay. I'm currently on the D drive, I believe. Okay, so on the D drive, I already created a temp folder. On the C drive, I have a system, documents, downloads, music, pictures, videos, and so forth. This is all running on a Heroku build server. So I'm able to manipulate the server. I wrote down a few test files, which I will demonstrate again with this video. Okay, so once you've logged in and initialized a session, it will set up a simple folder structure of CD and E and build all the temp files just so that you have an environment that is similar to a Windows environment. And everybody has a general starting point. From within the D drive, you can add and create folders. Currently, I'm in the load. I'm using the load file dialog. So the first thing we want to do, let's change the state. We're going to alter the state of the common dialog to show the save dialog. Everything transitions. You see the new folder, file name, file type, and you can just simply click the button and say my folder. And I've just added a new folder called my folder on the temp D drive. Sorry. If we go to E, what we're going to do is make a temp drive here on E. And what I'm going to do in E is I'm going to write the same two files that I was testing, or at least one. I have one here. I'm going to write those onto my E temp, but I'm going to do that from within the DevTools. The DOS factory has a write script file. This write script file, man, is the single way that I write any data in and out of the Nimble IDE platform. So simply by saying the write script, give it the path that you want to write and the data that you want to write. The only new option is, of course, the callback because it's an asynchronous service. I'm going to write the testing.txt on my E drive in the temp folder. And what I'm going to do is write another one. And we'll call it test.js. And we're going to change the data to be a console. So I'm going to write a JS, some JavaScript data directly on the server using this service. Once that's complete, if we go to E temp, you see both of those files have been written. Now, me writing JavaScript directly on the server has probably made a lot of people nervous. But rest assured, this data is totally secure. It is sandboxed and based off of your user session ID, and no one else can access it. And it is not written in any way it can be executed. It is both zip compressed and encrypted before it's written down. So this is just a bunch of encrypted data on the server. I wanted to give you a quick look at the micro DOS service for the Nimble platform, also known as Nimble Drive. As I finish this really neat idea up, I imagine I will be able to have Nimble running full force within a browser in the next month or two. Who knows what this amazing platform will do. Thank you for watching.